We've all been there. The adventure ends and we're left wondering, what now? Just as the sunset marks the end of the day, every adventure has an end. Nothing is permanent, but maybe significance is derived from impermanence. Every adventure has an end really highlights the importance of the temporal nature of life, in that our experiences, no matter how significant or mundane, are all fleeting. Impermanence and the temporal nature of life focuses on how everything is always changing, inconstant, and disappearing. Have a look at this meme. You can see the two different ways that you can approach this phrase. On one side, you have every adventure has an end, whereas on the other side, you have every adventure has an end. However you approach the phrase will ultimately decide the adventures that you embark on in your journey of life and the meaning of past adventures. I don't want to be the guy that rains on your parade, but either way, whichever perspective you choose, the world will move on.
Sun don't stop for nobody, man. Sun don't stop. Sun gonna be up in the morning regardless.
Ultimately, the phrase helps you understand that the end of one adventure simply makes way for the beginning of another. Focus on the word adventure. Focus on the excitement that comes with it. Focus on the dynamic nature of your journey of life. Focus on embracing what the adventure will bring. On one side of the coin, you can see it as a beginning of a new opportunity for progress and self-discovery, leading to a confident approach. Whereas on the flip side, you can see it as a beginning of new problems and challenges, leading to a fearful approach. Like with all characters on an adventure, there will always be obstacles in the way and something to be gained, win or loss. Either way, every adventure needs to come to an end. And so you're wondering, why should I see my life as a series of adventures? Well, let's start with the main inspiration for this video. It started with my childhood TV show, Adventure Time, which has a very close place in my heart from my younger years. To those that aren't familiar with Adventure Time, it essentially follows the various adventures of the characters Finn and Jake, where each season and storyline has their own beginnings and endings, reflecting the themes of growth, change, and the passage of time through the progression of their adventures. Now, this isn't a video based on the analysis of Adventure Time, but I bring up this TV show because I was looking back at some of my old Spotify playlists, and I came across one titled, Every Adventure Has an End, with this playlist background. And of course, the playlist background is influenced from Adventure Time, and as you can see, looking through the songs of the playlist, you can visibly tell that it was my go-to playlist for my melancholic indulgence, for a lack of a better word. Pretty much, I would listen to this playlist if I was sad. I'm sure, although embarrassing, everybody has a go-to sad playlist or song, unless you're a narcissist. Of course, this playlist was from my younger years and was during a very emotional time in my life where I was stuck in the deepest part of the trenches. To give a TLDR of the backstory and get personal, this was during a time where I was so lost. I didn't know who I was, I had no sense of self-worth, and of course, listening to sad music ironically makes us feel better, but usually reinforces our sadness depending on the situation. And back then, I was so embarrassed of even having a playlist like this, to even display any sort of vulnerability of my emotions. I was taught to believe that it's weak to display any sort of emotions, and as a man, you always have to be strong, and your social acceptance will be determined on how strong you seem. And even though this was just a Spotify playlist, it would present itself to me as a reflection of that negative form of social and self-acceptance. And now, I don't have that embarrassment anymore. It's no longer there. I've grown out of that shell. The old me became the new me that I am today. That adventure came to an end to put me on this adventure here. And so you're asking again, why is Progressful bringing all of this up? I'm telling you this because seeing this playlist was a nostalgic reminder of who I was back then and what I was going through. That playlist was a tangible representation of the adventure I was on during that time of my life. Although I was in the depths of the trenches back then, this reminder really hit home on how grateful I am that I went through those moments and transformed me to the person that I am today. And that phrase, every adventure has an end, came full circle to where I am now, to even lead me to make this video today to help serve someone out there going through a similar adventure. And it's beautiful to think about life as one big adventure made up of smaller adventures dictated by the decisions of the present you, how each action has a reaction, and what we do now determines the adventures that we will encounter. As I'm making this video, it reminds me of all the decisions of my past, good or bad, to lead me here, to come full circle talking to you about my melancholic adventure. And I know those melancholic adventures aren't unique to me. I know every single person in this world goes through transformative moments to serve as a reminder for the future you, that you have what it takes to keep going, keep learning, keep progressing. These adventures will pass, and they are never for nothing. It only will be for nothing if your past adventures convince you to approach future adventures full of fear. Either way, the challenges from your past adventures will persist until you learn the lessons to be learned so that you may move on to the next adventure. That phrase serves as a reminder that your life is made up of a collection of stories, of adventures, and how every adventure forms a legacy, not just in the form of memories, but in the way that it shapes who you are and how you influence others and who you will become.
We're all writing a book. What's your book look like? You got a bunch of chapters in your book, but when they close that book, how good was the book?
The way you approach your current circumstances is going to be completely different the way you approach the same circumstances in the future. You are ever transforming. You're living in the past, present, and the future. I want you to think back at a moment in your life where you were fighting through the trenches and understand the nostalgic reminder that comes from that past adventure. Understand the adventure that you overcame and how the end of that adventure serves to be the beginning of this new adventure that you're currently on. What are you going to take away from that which will serve as a tool for this current adventure? Your person, you, are very similar to a character in a role-playing game like in Elden Ring. Just like in RPGs, we develop our skills, knowledge, and abilities over time. Every experience adds to your growth, and you level up through quests and experience. The strategic way that you carry out these quests and your build will determine the success that you have later in the storyline. It will determine if you're capable of defeating the final boss. In your life, the final boss could be anything. It could be wealth, fulfillment, a family, GTA 6. Whatever you choose it to be, there will be steps involved to defeat the final boss. There will be necessary things you need and unnecessary things you don't need, but it is up to you to discern that for yourself. The amazing thing is, you yourself have the power of where the adventure will go. As for defeating the bosses, how are you going to fight a level 100 boss when you haven't even fought the level 10 boss? You can't skip these adventures and quests when they are required for you to level up and gain the skills required for the next adventure. But you can't level up if you don't fight through the current adventure. It's always better to face challenges than to avoid them out of fear. There's something to be learned from each adventure. Don't overlook them or you'll miss out on what you will need for the next. In the same way that there are unskippable cutscenes, as much as we hate them, they are unskippable because they are necessary to progress the storyline. So pay close attention. And like my Spotify playlists that served as a nostalgic reminder of the adventures that I embarked on, all adventures come around full circle, leading you to where you first started with a greater understanding, perspective, and progression from the past. And with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.